Welcome to the City Council meeting of Monday, August 8th, 2016. Can we have the roll call, please?
Council and Agency Member Durossette.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Lane.
Here.
Vice Mayor and Vice Chair Kline.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Ryno.
Here.
Mayor and Chairman Vierra.
Here. Next, we will have the invocation by Jeff Hilbert, the Believers Family Church, if he's here. No?
I don't believe I see him in the audience.
Okay. Mr. Shepherd, did you want to do us the honors? I don't see Mr. Britton. I know he normally would help us. So.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you to do the business of the city of Ceres. We ask that you look down upon us and give us wisdom, give us courage, and help us to do the right things for all the citizens of Ceres. We thank you for a wonderful city, a great police department, a great fire department, public servants who help all. And we ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. We have no presentations this evening. Actually, we do, but it's at the end of the meeting. Citizens' communication to council on matters not included on the agenda. At this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the council on a non-agenda item?
Leonard Shepherd, 2841 Fowler Road. I said it just a little bit ago. We have a great police department and a great fire department. And if you've been looking at the news lately, they've been busy. And I just can't express enough the fact that we have in our midst some of the finest fire and police people in the county, maybe even in the state. They are dedicated. Dedication isn't just to their job. They're dedicated to the people they serve. And I also want to say the city has some great employees, people that go beyond the normal in a lot of cases. I got my eyes open to about the poor guys that have to work in the sewer systems and so forth, and the water treatment plants and everything. And every time I turn on the tap and drink some water, I realize it's a lot better than a lot of places I've ever been. We've got a good system going. We're good at saving and everything. So I know you might all want to take credit for that, but I think it's a joint effort from everybody in town, all the employees, the citizens. So thank you, Ceres.
Thank you.
Not sure if this is the right time, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I've got my name's Shane Parson, Diamond Bar Arena. Got two fundraisers I'd like to bring to the public's attention. We have an Imperial Nights dinner show to benefit Ceres and Central Valley High School. We have 70 tables available. We'd sure like to sell them all. And we hope to give between $8,000 and $10,000 to each high school this year after that fundraiser. Also,
What's the date of that one?
that is the 24th of August, Wednesday the 24th. Also on the 27th, we are having which is the same day as the Smoke on the River. The Stanislaus County Sheriff's Posse came to me and wants to do a dinner fundraiser. So I think that ends at like 5, and this dinner is at 7 p.m. We're also, all day, we're gonna do a calf branding and that sort of thing, and I'd really like to challenge some of the councilmen or employees. We're doing what we call a celebrity cowboy. We're giving a buckle for that and money. And all you gotta do is we'll have a roper rope the calf, and then you have to pull the ribbon off his tail. So anyway, that's something that might be kind of fun, and this is to benefit the Stanislaus County Sheriff Posse.
What's the date of that?
Unit.
What's the date of that?
That's August 27th.
Oh, I'm in.
Are you in?
Oh, I'm it.
You're in. Got one. Thank you.
Thanks. Their medical staff will be on site. All right, is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak?
You're over 50 now, Chris. You better take it easy.
I was
I'm not
asking.
going to let you go because you wasn't here last week. You're a half 100. You're 50% of 100. Now, when Ryan goes to college, you'll be there by yourself with your wife. And now you'll know why I want 2 motorhomes, because she doesn't know if I'm in that one or that one. So just to give you a little touch, whenever you was 9 and 10 years old and you called us old men, guess where you are?
Getting younger every day.
No, you're not.
No, the age is getting younger every day.
That's 101. You go backwards. I've still got a little problem, and everybody knows why. Still getting phone calls. My wife got a phone call the other night. Mike called her and asked her if she had any instructions or any information that they can start a basketball program from the city of Ceres. We're out of this. We're completely through. We're done. We don't want any. Last week I was in here and we went through this again. Or 2 weeks ago, whenever you wasn't here.
2 weeks ago.
It's getting frustrating to get and help people that you don't want to help. And let me tell you why I'm completely out of this. This is DeVecchio Rudd. I am writing this letter to a formal complaint on Don Donaldson because I believe that he has gone too far. Due to the behavior, I question if he is fit to be working with or supervising children. I hope there is something that can be done to prevent this from happening again. DeVecchio Rudd. And then Cambria both of us set practicing at the same time. And DeVecchio Rudd is running a super basketball program, which I wasn't. I was running a city program for all the city kids. And he comes in and gets my best ball players and takes them. Well, anyway, there was a hassle because somebody planned us both at the same time. He come in and get 3 of my best ball players, which here the city says that all the kids that's on the basketball team has a chance to play. Well, how can he, minimum playing time for the youth, and he gets to get all the good ball players? That's okay too. I'm out of it. You know what I mean? I'm out of it. But I did it for 34 years. I did this for 34 years, and we never had a coach do anything inappropriately. So DeVecchio Rudd comes in here, and Cambria gives him the same, and that's why we just don't care anymore. I mean, if somebody, and Anderson was there too. And if you think, call Dan Pacheco and there's another coach over there, I can't think of his name, at Davis, and find out what kind of person he is. That's the kind of people that's got me out of here. After 34 years with these kids, and now somebody comes in and runs it for the kids, and 200 kids is not playing basketball in the program. They're over. And now the city is calling my wife and asking her information on how to get a basketball program started. Call DeVecchio Rudd. Call the other one that it just got put, or whatever his name is, I don't know. Call them people and ask them, don't ask me. It's getting tiresome, Mr. Vieira, it is. The wife had cancer, and you know, she needs more time, and it's happened 2 or 3 times before this. Almost every other night, somebody's calling, wanting to play basketball. Where are you getting my phone number? She said, well, it's on Google. We didn't, you know what I mean? So, is there anything that we can do? I don't want to help Ceres. I'm done. The way I was treated, the wife and I, the kids, we don't want to have nothing to do with Ceres anymore. We're finished. Now then, I would beg you, if it's on a computer or anything, tell them to lose my phone number. I don't want any more phone calls. I don't want the wife to answer anymore. So if they want something about basketball, ask them if they can do DeVecchio Rudd or them, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Could you just make sure that no one contacts him from the city?
If someone identified themselves as from the city, I can promise you that we have not contacted him regarding a basketball program. So if someone identified themselves, can't speak to that. We have reached out to Google and to Bing, removing those off of the search records so that his name does not come up. Bing did respond that they have removed that, but Google has not yet. So we're still working on those. Again, it's on multiple search engines, so if somebody uses a different search mechanism, that information is still on there. Well, again, we don't control it. We have checked our website and all of our information to ensure that there's no reference to that number, and that is, in fact, there's no reference for any city website or any city programs. We don't have anybody that would be calling with a mic that would be calling about a basketball program. Again, if they identified themselves as an employee, my apologies, but we don't have a need for calling regarding that program.
Okay. All right, is there anyone else that would like to address the council on a non-agenda item? Okay. With that, we'll move on. We have no appointments to boards and commissions this evening. Conflict of interest declaration. Is there anyone that would like to declare a conflict of interest? I would just, there is one closed session item related to conference with real property negotiator. I'll excuse myself from that. Next, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by roll call vote. At this time, is there anyone on the council that would like to have one of the consent calendar items pulled for further discussion?
Items 9 and 10.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like an item pulled other than item 9 and 10? Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to the council for direction on the other items.
Move to approve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Council and Agency Member Durossette.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Lane.
Yes.
Vice Mayor and Vice Chair Kline.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Ryno.
Yes.
Mayor and Chairman Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, item number 9, resolution number 2016-093, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Beehive Industries to develop and host the Public Works Department assets, infrastructure, and workforce database. Councilmember Ryno.
I don't know if I missed it or not, but when I looked in the staff report, I didn't see where IT was involved in anything with it.
Robin can give you the details, but my understanding is IT has been consulted and it continues to be involved in the project, and Robin can give you some details of that IT involvement.
Hi. So I've been working on this project for the last couple months to find an asset management program. IT, we didn't have involved as much because it's a web-based program. So it won't be on our servers. It won't be utilizing city space. The company we're going through is actually having it on their server. So it's just log into a web page and you're good to go.
So, excuse me, so our use of our computers. We have the computers that we have now have the capability of accessing all this information.
Yeah.
It's not like we have to go out and buy new computers to
No,
do it.
it has
It's not
nothing to-
like a CAD program or something.
Nope, it's a simple web page that you have a username and password to log into. So we just jump on our normal internet and we can use the database.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, with that, are you worried about any kind of security?
No, for the sheer fact that when I've talked to the asset program, they're actually using, I believe it's Amazon servers, and Amazon servers actually have one of the highest securities in the nation, so.
So you're not worried about anybody hacking into it and then jumping over to our mainframe?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I'll look for, well, before I do that, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
Move to adopt resolution number 2016-093.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Council and Agency Member Durossette.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Lane.
Yes.
Vice Mayor and Vice Chair Kline.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Ryno.
Yes.
Mayor and Chairman Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 10, resolution number 2016-094, awarding a 5-year officer safety plan contract to Taser International, Inc., and authorize the city manager to execute the contract. Councilmember Ryno?
I have the same question. I didn't see in the staff report where IT was involved in it.
Well, yes, they have been involved in it, and everything that we did through this whole process, Farron met with, was involved in the meetings. I apologize for not including that in the staff report.
That's my only question.
Okay, any other questions?
Well, I do have a question because I know I've been in contact with the chief pretty much for a while this morning. You know, we got this other system, this BWC system was a grant funded, okay? And it's been in operation for about a year, okay?
Fully.
And because it was grant funded, he did tell me what internal services cost for the thing. But tell us what the difference is between the two systems, why you want to go to this new system.
Okay, so we began this process before I became chief here. The traffic unit started it. They felt it was important to have cameras whenever they contact people during their traffic stops. So we had already began something. At the same time, a lot of folks in law enforcement, including some here like Modesto PD, were looking at this product, Axon, the one that we're looking at purchasing now. We just did not have the money to go that way. So we decided at the time it was very important to do the cameras because there's a lot of benefits to it. So we've had it working now probably for about a year, even though we've been building it up through different funds to get it paid for. But what we've noticed is that the camera has a very small window. It's not as wide. It doesn't show very well in low light conditions. Whenever it takes more time to download, and also takes time for records to search for what the district attorney needs for evidence, then you have to redact certain things like juveniles' faces and so forth. And then you have to record all that on a compact disc and forward it over to the district attorney. So with that said, and we're paying for all the storage. So there's a lot of IT time that I would be billed for. So with the new system, it's unlimited cloud-based storage. So IT has little involvement in it. It's low light conditions. The field of view is very good. It's also mounted here on your shoulder versus here. So when they're mounted here and you have your gun drawn or a taser, it takes out the view. We have been involved in an officer-involved shooting in January where most of what we got out of it was audio and not video, and was also in low light conditions. So the other features of this new stuff, excuse me, is signal. We have to set it up to however we wish to do it. But for example, if I come into an area where other officers' cameras are on, it would automatically turn mine on. Or I could set it up to where if I have my code 3 lights, it turns on. This new product also, when you turn it on, it goes back 30 seconds. The stuff we're using now does not. So that's important sometimes as well, because an officer could get involved in something and figure, okay, time to turn it on. It would automatically start 30 seconds ago. It's recording like that all the time. Also, the district attorney would be able to get the evidence quicker. It's over the internet. They already have the software programs to do that. And the program's been working very well for the city of Modesto. The district attorney likes it. We have a body-worn camera group, and have determined that, hopefully all of the agencies in the county that have this can go to the same. It makes it easier for everyone. So hopefully that answers the question.
What I was looking for was the advantages.
Okay.
So, thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions? Any questions in the audience, comments? All right, with that, I'll bring it back to the council for direction.
Move to adopt resolution number 2016-094.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have the roll call, please?
Council and Agency Member Durossette.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Lane.
Yes.
Vice Mayor and Vice Chair Kline.
Yes.
Council and Agency Member Ryno.
Yes.
Mayor and Chairman Vierra.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, no public hearings, and we have one new business item. This is the Downtown Streetscape Project Introduction. Mr. Jordan.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight, we have before you a potential layout to our downtown corridor along 4th Street. The scope of this project stretches approximately 1,000 feet from the intersection of El Camino to North Street. Our goal is to collaborate and investigate new features to enhance the entry and amenities of our local downtown, yet maintain the downtown atmosphere that we currently have. We have hired one of our local consultants, Odell Engineering, which unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. But they have a dedicated department of landscape architects with multiple streetscape design experience to lead this design. As you can see from the layout before you, we are introducing numerous features for public review and comment tonight. For example, to create a more pedestrian-friendly corridor, we relocated trees out of the sidewalk areas, effectively widening the pedestrian zone to approximately 10 feet, creating mid-block crosswalks for better access, modified diagonal parking, including permeable pavement, allowing stormwater to infiltrate into the ground below, numerous architectural and landscape features, as you can see, the possibility of public Wi-Fi, also, as you can see, a City of Series entry feature as you enter downtown. With these type of upgrades and enhancements, we hope to add energy to Mr. Hallam's efforts to create something attractive and exciting for existing and future downtown business opportunities. City Manager Wells and myself have worked on numerous successful downtown corridor projects prior to Ceres, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Wells to provide some additional commentary on what we're proposing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. So as most of you know, I've spent a good portion of my career working on downtowns, and two notable ones in the area, one City of Turlock and the other City of Livermore. So I have a degree of passion for downtowns, and in both of those cases, working on those projects, it starts with a lot of research. In the Livermore example, traveling to many different cities and different towns, looking at what fits the community. There's lots of ideas out there, but really at the end of the day, any streetscape project that's successful comes down to the fit with the community. So you know what's good in Livermore, or even Turlock for that matter, isn't necessarily good in Ceres. And so the idea is really trying to marry those desires to make the public investment, and that's really what we're doing here, investing significant dollars into our downtown streetscape to improve that aesthetic, to encourage the private investment. Because that's when our downtown is successful, is when the private businesses invest in their properties and their businesses. When those two things happen, that's when we see success. So this really is a concept plan here that's identified to set up the start of really the revitalization of our downtown. Again, a couple of key features, as Daryl pointed out. The trees being placed in the parking area has multiple benefits there. One, it frees the walkway up, so you've got a wider space for the pedestrians. It also provides the benefit of providing shade directly for the vehicles as they're parked there in front of the businesses. In addition, one of the key features is the parking lot. You'll notice there near the right of the screen, near North Street, that is a city-owned piece of property, or actually RDA-owned piece of property that, as part of this effort, and one of the actions that we're looking for from this evening from the council, is direction to include that area as a parking lot. At a minimum, it helps during construction to offset any construction impacts for providing parking for the businesses along there. And then in the ultimate build out of this provides additional parking, because that's really what we want. If we have a parking problem, we've got a successful downtown. And some people may complain that they can't park it directly in front of a business, but that's not a parking problem. A parking problem is when people can't, are fighting over spaces because they want to be downtown so bad. So that's one of the key features. A couple other items of interest there, the removal of the two roundabouts at North Street and Lawrence. So those come out with this revised plan. And again, this all goes back to the downtown specific plan. When that plan was put in place, that was contemplated and encouraged to make those changes, again, to encourage the pedestrian orientation of the street, to get people out of their cars, walking. And I know Mr. Shepard voiced some concerns at the Planning Commission about latte sipping folks, but the idea of being able to walk to a location and enjoy the beverage of choice, whether it's a latte or some other beverage, is something that you see in most successful downtowns. And that is something that this evening, looking for council direction, that this is headed in the right direction. If there's any particular items, take any public comments. The plan of attack from here, we are nearing 50% design. And what 50% design really means is it's the civil layout, or kind of the layout of where the parking spaces will go, the curbs, gutters, and all of those things. Get those details so that we can then sit down with each of the business owners, show them the direct impacts, where their doorways are relative to trees and benches and streetlights, all that kind of information. Get that feedback from them. And then the other decision that we need from the business owners is the construction. There's, in my experience, and most folks with downtowns of this, there's really three ways to do the construction. And you can call it the nuclear option, where you go in and just blow the street up per se, close it down as best you can, do the construction as quickly as possible, but it has the maximum impact on those businesses. So that's the one option. There's a middle option where you're trying to minimize the impact to the businesses, but at the same time trying to get the construction done as quickly as possible. And then kind of the last option was completely minimize business disruption and stretch the construction out as long as possible. The most successful projects, again, are when the businesses help make that decision of what they feel is in their best interest, in getting those businesses to buy into the construction. And that's really the feedback we need from those business and property owners before we get into the finalization of the construction plans. Once we get to that step, which would be around the end of this calendar year, we'd hope to bid this project in early 2017 and have everything ready to go for construction starting right after the street fair in the early summer of 2017, with the project completed by the end of 2017. So that's the project overview. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them, and look forward to your direction.
Vice Mayor Kline?
Well, after going over this and sitting with you last week and discussing things, I would think that for me, there's one big concern I have. I want to say it's probably about 6 years ago, we paid a consultant to come in and do a downtown specific plan, and we met with, had citizens focus groups and planning commission and the city council, and we sat down and we spent upwards to $100,000 for that consultant for the downtown specific plan. So now we're going to turn around and the way I'm interpreting this is almost reinvent the wheel, and we're going to, we have Odell Engineering that is part of our consulting and design thing, that we are going to almost reinvent the whole wheel, and that $100,000 that we spent on the downtown specific plan is just going to be setting, like, you know, we had talked about before, on the shelf.
That's actually, the downtown specific plan is the framework for this effort. So what we hired a consultant to do was to put a document together that put the body of what we're doing right now. So the downtown specific plan was call it a planning document that was all of the downtown, not just 4th Street. So that's from the freeway to Whitmore all the way over to 10th Street. That's the downtown specific plan. So that's a planning document that talked about land uses and all the potentials. It identified specifically these types of improvements. We're taking that downtown specific plan, and this project is implementing it.
Okay.
So we're taking it one step further. Right now we have a planning document. This is a construction project. So exactly what was identified in 2010, we're now putting in the ground as part of this project. And that's really what the excitement is. We're actually doing, rather than that thing sitting on the shelf collecting dust, we're putting it to use with this project.
Councilmember Ryno?
The gateway feature with the series, is that going to be about in front of where the drugstore is?
No, the gateway feature is on both ends, so you'd have it at El Camino and at North Street.
That's
On
good, because I was looking at number 5, and I thought that didn't make much sense to put it in the middle of the block.
Yeah, there is a similar feature there. If you look on the back side, the enlargement A, kind of on the top left-hand side, there's a similar feature, but it doesn't cross the roadway. It's got that same architectural feel in terms of for that mid-block crosswalk, but it doesn't have the series crossing the street. That's just at the two ends.
And will we be sure that our series is big enough? Because right after our welcome to series sign went up, everyone complained about how small they were.
Yeah, those are the details we'll work out through this final design process to ensure it's got the visibility that everyone desires.
Do we have any plans for the clock that's downtown?
What would you like to do with it? A number of different ideas have been presented, but we'd look for council direction, and Whitmore Park would be one concept. There's other locations in the downtown that might be suitable for it, but that is part of the design right now of asking that question. Where would you like to see that clock relocated to?
Well, I like having a clock downtown, so rather than have it over at the park, I would like it to be somewhere in the downtown area.
Great. See if we can find a good spot for it.
I think that the plan is something that's very much needed for downtown. As I look at all of the other communities in Stanislaus County, they've put some significant investment in their downtown, and I think for us to help attract new businesses and also to make it something that's better for the existing businesses that are down there, I think that it's important that we spruce up or do some things that really helps our downtown. So I'm very pleased with the plan here. I think it dovetails very well in the specific plan and the push that we have had on our revitalization of downtown. I know there's been a lot of talk about downtown, but I'm finally starting to see the fruits of the labor of years start to come. And as you've identified, if you went back many, many years ago, before Turlock was what it is today and before Livermore is what it is today, you'll find these same type of discussions and conversations that went on and same type of planning. And my hope is that 10, 15 years from now, when we look back on this, that we say, wow, that was a great decision to do, and look at how it's drawn businesses and helped out our existing businesses. So I think this is important. One last sidebar I would say is, I've had the opportunity to be involved in a couple of discussions with some people that are considering Ceres, who currently don't have businesses in the city of Ceres, and many of them are very excited to know that we are looking to invest in the downtown area. So I think that this is a very positive statement and move for us. So, Councilmember Lane.
Yeah, I agree, Mayor. Very well said. Been working on this for some time. I think, downtown has been a keep the hometown feel, if you will, but we definitely have to make some improvements. And I've been in some of the discussions that the mayor's been into, that some of these folks are certainly looking at us and coming down, and this is really going to help us bring some exciting things downtown and still have your downtown feeling and be able to walk around downtown and enjoy it. And thinking about the plan itself that we have taken off the shelf, this is just one part of it. We have the historical street, and I think probably in this where we said, downtown going down to Whitmore, and we were talking about one time the community center being a bookend, if you will, of 4th Street. I would assume that we could probably add to this feature moving forward, or if that's something we're looking at.
Definitely, that's the ultimate plan.
Yeah, okay.
This is the funding that we have
Right,
currently.
the phasing that we're in right now, but eventually maybe be able to go on down the road with it. Is that right? Okay. That's my only comment. Thank you.
Councilmember Ryno?
Toby, I can't tell from this where the street trees are going to be planted. We're not going to make the same mistake as we did now, where if a business wants to do any kind of a facade improvement or anything that jets out, they get in the way of the tree. Are the trees going to sit out further?
Yeah, the trees will actually be in the parking area. So if you take basically a diagonal parking space about 17, 18 feet, it'd be about 9 feet, about the middle of that parking spot. So it'd be from the existing curb, you'd be about 9 feet out. So
And then how are we going to water all of that landscaping?
yeah, so we already have irrigation in the street area, so we would be modifying it. As Daryl mentioned, we're doing a pretty innovative process there. It's called a Silva cell. The details right there on this, just left to the bicycle folks there. That Silva cell shows how that drainage will go through the pavement. It's actually pervious pavement. It's on the other side, Daryl. Right to the left of the bicycle folks there, shows you that detail. So that pervious pavement, the water actually percolates through the asphalt and down into the tree roots, and it actually does two benefits. One, it helps filter the water, and then it gets straight into the tree roots, and it provides for a structural benefit there. So you got to get the best of both worlds. You get a healthy tree in a parking area, so you get the shade features of it, and then again, it's away from the building, so you've got full pedestrian walkway and away from any facade improvements that any business would do.
And all that water permeating through doesn't do anything to the asphalt?
Well, that's what that permeable asphalt, it allows the water to get through the asphalt down in the subbase, and then there is a collection system for anything that soil can absorb that kind of overflows. So it handles, your smaller storm flows will go straight into the ground. Anything larger than that will be picked up by the storm drain system.
Sounds wonderful.
Just a couple of comments more that I might make, but I'll do that after Councilmember Durossette.
Yeah, I think I had seen this, about 4 or 5 months ago. Toby, you had shown us, and it's, I think it's important. I think it's, again, having to the city council in 2008, we talked about downtown. There was some plans about downtown, and there was a lot of excitement about downtown. I think this is the time. I don't know if we're doing some sort of a thing with a serious courier in regards to getting people excited about this one thing, because this one thing I think is really the first step that is needed to be able to have a downtown. And again, I think if you recall when the city manager stated downtowns take about 10 to 15 years. What was that?
Hopefully sooner than that, but the example I've provided before, I was working in the city of Turlock in 1998, and I did the first infrastructure project in that time frame. So it took about 10 years for it to really resonate, where they're starting to see some true success. In 15 years, they've seen it, really come to fruition. It just depends on the community, sometimes a little shorter, but it's safe to say it's somewhere in that 10 to 15 year before you're going to see some real solid success. So it doesn't happen overnight, but we're really setting the foundation, the infrastructure for that growth and that potential.
Are we going, I don't know, you might be able to answer this question. Are we going after businesses for specific downtown, since, this is what we're going to be doing, and this is how it's going to look, and this, coffee shop or this pub or this diner,
We are doing all of those things, and basically it really comes down to, like I said before, the private business owners investing in their properties. And what we have seen recently is several properties in the downtown have changed hands. And so we've got a couple of those where that new set of eyes will really become fundamental. And that's where we're reaching out in our efforts to both existing property owners and the new property owners of getting them, showing this plan. Mr. Hallam has done a significant outreach, was with a business owner today that we expected to have a very negative response to this plan, was actually very positive. So we're seeing that, as well as those new businesses as they come in, to try to find that right relationship and fit of saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. What would you like to do with your property, and who is the perfect tenant for you? And let's see if we can find, looking at our existing gap analysis of what we don't have here in Ceres, and be able to say, here's what would work really well in the downtown area. So we're doing those efforts. It's slow. It does take time, but we do have some business owners, and especially, like I said, the new business owners with that new perspective that are excited about us putting our money where our mouth is. In reality, these new businesses, as they're looking at it, are trying to pull somebody from another community. When we can say, we're putting money into our downtown, that's very attractive for a business that's looking to relocate.
Right. I think it looks great.
Okay, the only other comments I would make is, and I know this is probably a tangential comment and one that might be more suited for the general plan update, but as we go through this, I might like to suggest that we consider naming, renaming, or doing something on 4th Street to refer to it as Main Street or 4th Street / Main Street, because it's always important to have that iconic name. Yes, I'm on Main Street, or come down to Main Street, and we don't really have that in Ceres. I know a lot of the other jurisdictions around have done that, and I don't know how the current business owners would feel about that, but if we don't lose the identity of 4th Street, but we also begin referring to this as Main Street, I think there's some significant benefits for them.
Yeah, we did plan to ask the businesses when we do our next round of outreach to get their take on that. A couple little issues, but nothing we can't overcome. We do have 4th Street north of Whitmore that's got residential housing on this, so we've got a little bit of a thing to work out there. But we would get it the public, and especially those business owners that are the most impacted, get their take on it, what they think about that street name change, because they will be impacted. They've got letterhead and those type of things to change. But that's the input we would get from them as we move through this next step. The interesting thing in Mr. Benzinger's article that was run last week, one of the historicals, like a diary journal entry, and there was reference in that regarding Main Street, which is now 4th Street. So it'd be interesting to kind of bring that back, as it was clearly referred to back in the early 1900s as our Main Street. So we'll be moving that forward.
The only other comment I would say, and I know that there's ample amount of it in here, but I think it's important that we have some good wayfinding signage that identifies where City Hall is and other things. I think that always makes an area stand out when there's good, high-quality signage that looks very professional. So with that, if there aren't any other council comments, I will open it up to the public for anyone to speak on. Okay, with that, I'll open it up to the public.
Shep's go.
I know everybody thinks I'm an old curmudgeon that doesn't like change or anything. I'd love to see some change downtown. I'd love to see a steakhouse or a good family-type restaurant where we could come down at night, bring our families, meet with each other, have a good meal, and it stays open until 9 or 10 o'clock and doesn't close at 3 in the afternoon. I'd like to see a little mini mart downtown where people who live in the area around here could come down, and not the Valero gas station, but something downtown where they can come and get things in the evening and stuff. A good cafe. Sam's is a good cafe, but Sam's don't stay open until after 2 o'clock. You can't get nothing. So if you want to make downtown better, this is just a personal opinion, get some good eateries, maybe a little mini mart, someplace where people don't feel like they're, I don't know, that they've lost their history too. I know Shane Parsons had the old police building was about to fall down anyway, but there ought to be some way of saving that, not particularly the building, but the history. there are some places in Ceres that have a lot of history. And Turlock has Monte Vista, but it's also University Way. Why not talk to Caltrans about Main Street, Ceres? Never have to change the addresses, it's still 4th Street. But when the people are coming down the freeway, it says Ceres, next 4 exits. That's it. There's nothing. No, nothing says downtown Ceres, 4th Street, anything. It's just next 4 exits. We need something, if you want people to come here, you don't necessarily have to make it look like some other place in the valley or in the Bay Area or anything like that. It needs its own character, but it needs to be seen out there. Everybody thinks of Ceres as Service and Mitchell. So they're not even thinking about Ceres, they're thinking Mitchell Road, the airport. There's nothing that says Ceres, California, Main Street or otherwise. 4 exits, that's all. Need to do something about that to get people to come here. I just like to see some of the history stay. And there's ways of doing it and yet making downtown better. I'm not convinced that putting in little things across the street, so people already cross the street and walk across all the time. I just think that we need to take a look at not becoming just another town downtown with all kinds of little frou-frous. I believe we need to think and talk to the people who live around downtown. I talked to Ceres Drugs, Ted Smyrna said something about, I don't like the looks of this because it's going to take away all my parking. They have trees out in the area where somebody parks to come to my drugstore. Think about that. I know Toby likes to get people out of their cars and onto their feet. I like to have my car close because my feet don't do too well. A lot of people I've talked to, older people, they come downtown for a couple of reasons. Maybe the bank, the drugstore, the cleaners. That's about it. That's what they come down here for. But if you give them something like a restaurant, something like a mini mart, there might be more people local that come here downtown instead of having to go over on Mitchell. If you want downtown to be something, you have to talk to the folks who live around it. And everybody that I have talked to a little bit, it's not a lot, but they say, what's going to happen to our parking spaces? How many of you have been on 10th Street between J and I in Modesto? They did all of that, and all they did was take away parking spaces. The people at Piccadilly Deli said that's the dumbest thing we ever saw. They took away our parking spots. We don't have as many customers because they got to walk a half a mile to get to us. That's what I look at. You know, I'm 73. I don't walk as much as I used to because my body is just not taking it well. Think about those people who are like me. They drive their cars down to the drugstore, the cleaners, the bank, whatever, and they need to have some parking close at hand. Thank you.
My name's Shane Parson, and I'd like to say I commend these guys for what they've done. I think there's some areas as far as the parking's concerned. I'm on my employees all the time about parking a little further away and walking to work. And I think if you really look at it, the time frame spent either at the drugstore, the dry cleaners, the shoe shop, there's not a lot of shopping to do there. I don't think you could stay there more than 15 or 20 minutes. So I continually tell my people to park down the street. So if we lose a few spots, but gain this beautiful look, I think we're gonna get people coming back downtown. Hopefully, you know, I've been lobbying for a restaurant. I'm willing to work with anybody. I have a building available, maybe more, and I'm willing to work with them on a reduced rate until this is done. So anyway, I think we can overcome the parking issues just by, if you drive down there and you see about 50% of the cars either work at the bank, work at the drugstore, or work for me, they need to park right over here and just walk. Thank you.
Dave Perez series. I thought you were just taking out half the half the parking, but it looks like you're taking out more. Is the only extra parking you're going to furnish is that the north end of it? You're not doing anything down at the south end as far as parking? I know there's one big area that's across from the that's over behind the bank that's been cabled off for years that could be used if that's your plan.
We don't own that property.
So everybody that you want to will have to go from the north end and walk all the way down the south end then. There's no area that you could do. Okay.
No papers or no glasses. Sacramento, Natomas, basketball. Move out there, build, go back to Sacramento, build a basketball stadium. Now it's all for the downtown. Downtown Modesto, build the mall. Get everybody, JCPenney, Sears, all out at the mall. Now we want everybody to come back to the city. I bought my graduation suit at JCPenney's downtown Modesto, 1963, and I can remember going up and down that elevator. That was the first elevator I was ever in, going up and down the elevator. It's amazing how much you remember what happened downtown. Then it was gone out at the mall. Now it wants to come back downtown. You know, remember when Kmart was out there? Well, we're going to build out there beside a hatch. We're going to build all them buildings. Let's move out there. Then Save Mart comes in. We need to build out there. Not in the city, but out there. Now we need to come back to the city. I guess every 50 or 60 years we got to come back to the city. We got to build out there, but we got to come back. But I have to congratulate him, Mr. Welch, on one thing. Every 2 weeks, you guys know I have to go and get a shot in my eye at Livermore Laboratory. And I have to go downtown Livermore when I'm not in a hurry. When I am in a hurry, I go Carl Holler Road, I go around it. But I went early for one purpose, because we had this one time and he was talking about Livermore and the way, and I could just take my time. I was an hour and a half early when I got there. And the cars are at a 60 degrees or 45, regardless what it is. And you have to stop, let them back up. They got crosswalks. They got cyclone fence, not cyclone fence, but wrought iron fences up there, little gates and stuff. Crosswalks. Just stop and look over to your left, and you see a lot of outside tables, people sitting there enjoying themselves, people on the right-hand side enjoying herself. You pull up a little bit further, and here comes somebody backing out again. If you enjoy where it is, if you're not in a hurry, it's great. It looks beautiful. Here's a woman with a 9 or 10-month-old baby carrying it, and her mother-in-law or her walking across the street, going to have something to eat. Because there's a lot of places there that people have ice creams in their hand. But you have to take the time to enjoy that. If you're in a hurry, you're not going to enjoy it. So I really think he did a great job. If it was him that did that with the trees there and the wrought iron, everything, it really is a beautiful sight. I really, really like it. If I'm in a hurry, though, I go Carl Haller Road. Don't go down that road if you're in a hurry. Okay, I think this would be good because there's a lot of places that you can go around. If you're not going to eat downtown, you can go around. A lot of roads to go around it. But Livermore, there's not. First Street or Carl Haller Road. So if you go to Livermore, go down there. Or Turlock. I've been down to Turlock and seen the main street there, too. It's a good job. That's what downtown should be. But we got a lot of Century out there on 4th Street and downtown. We've DeBoer. I know him, the chiropractor, and his dad that's been there for years and years. You know what I mean? That's what you remember whenever you're growing up. So that's what I remember. Now, and 50, 60 years later, we're going to change it. It's just like over here at Richland Shopping Center. How many people remember the Shell gas station? How many people remember the church across the street where they tore it down and built? We don't see them things anymore. They're gone. That's what I remember. When downtown is gone, it's something, well, it's for the younger generation. It's for the younger kids. And I like it. So if anybody wants to go to Livermore and see what he did, if he's the one that's in charge of that, I really commend him on that. He's done a good job. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council. What direction did you need, or just informational purposes?
It's primary information. The one item that we do need direction on for the minutes primarily is the use of that parking lot. Again, RDA property, and we need that noted in the minutes. The council is comfortable with moving forward with the government use of that RDA property as a parking lot.
Okay, I'm supportive of it. What's the will of the council?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Okay, so I think it's unanimous that we would like to utilize that for the parking to help out the situation. So, and to Mr. Donaldson's comment, I think we're hitting all fronts of revitalization and as well as developing new, from the Mitchell Ranch project to the application that is going in on the Whitmore Plaza where Save Mart currently is, and they'll be moving into the old Rite Aid or Payless building and rehabbing that to the downtown. I think we're doing all that we can to try to revitalize all parts of the city. So I think there's some real positive things going on. So with that, the direction that you have is all that you need. So at this time, unless there are any other comments, we will move to council member referrals. Is there anyone on the council that would like to have an item placed on a future agenda?
Well, I had talked to Toby about this on Friday. What I would like to see is maybe something being discussed or worked with property owners, like Payless shoe stores, things like that, to re-landscape, whether it's drought resistant, whether it's artificial turf. You turn around and you see some of the stuff that has been done at particularly the McDonald's, and they do talking to Toby, every 10 to 15 years they turn around and redo their buildings. But then you go down Hatch Road and you see in front of the Kmart and whatnot, and how the drought has really impacted as far as maintenance and upkeep and I'd like to see if there's something that we can work on and get, Steve to work on with the property owners as far as trying to look into what they can do as far as re-landscaping, drought resistant, artificial turf or anything like that for beautification, and try to do the upgrades.
So what would you want us to put on the agenda?
Well, I think more of it be an informational thing. I know that, Steve's done an excellent job as far as outreach. And I'd like to see if he can outreach to some of these businesses and what the input is. What they expect the city to do for them or what they're willing to do themselves. Because, I do believe that in the business that I do, aesthetics in a sense mean a lot. And if the aesthetics and stuff is brought up, businesses, have a tendency to increase, whether it's 5, 10, or even 25%, because as people drive by, they see, that it's presentable. So I guess to start off with, basically be an informational item and see what he can do as far as an open discussion with property owners.
So is it, just so that I can help, because I'm sure they're gonna want direction on this, is it, you want him to outreach and get a poll of who would be interested? Do you want them to put together some information that describes what could be done to the landscaping? I'm just trying to help narrow down what you want, and what they...
And I'm glad you're asking those questions, because, it does give me a train of thought, and I would like to see, staff put something together, what could be done, and what the potential is, and see, and then discuss it with the property owners. Just like we're doing with the downtown, that we're putting together the plan, we're reaching out and doing it. If we could do the same thing with Mitchell Road and Hatch Road corridor.
Okay. Councilmember Ryno?
But Toby, does the city really have anything that we can do to them if they don't have a property maintenance agreement? Like, I know we've done, when I worked in planning, the newer businesses, before they were approved, they had to sign a property maintenance agreement, and I thought that was really our only hold to get them to keep their property maintained.
You're correct. Anything in the newer developments in the 90s-ish on, has a higher standard that was put in place. The older businesses don't have anything, and we really don't have any hammer or carrot, to encourage that type of activity. We continue to reach out to businesses, but as the council well knows, in a lot of cases, the businesses are different than the property owners, and the property owners like collecting rent checks. The businesses would like to see it look better, but at the end of the day, it's the property owners who need to invest in their properties, and getting them to do that voluntarily is a long process. Save Mart is the perfect example. We've been on their case for 15, 20 years about the improvements they need to make at that property, and they're finally doing it. So the request is a challenge from a staff perspective, just staffing level to go out and talk to businesses about that will be difficult. I would suggest it would be better to investigate this as part of the general plan update. In terms of the aesthetic that we're looking for, and create the kind of the policies and the goals as part of that document. It would be a little easier as part of that general plan update of the aesthetics that we're looking for, create policies and goals, and those be able to push down from an implementation standpoint. That'd be probably a more effective use from my perspective of staff time of getting something like this in place. As we talked about, our focus right now is that downtown plan, as well as you've got the Mitchell Ranch and a bunch of other things that are moving forward. Putting the efforts onto this will be a timing challenge, but I'd look for council direction in terms of where that is priority-wise with our current
Would that work for you as part of the general plan?
Well, I would still like to see, something that can be devised on an ongoing basis.
But if we have no way to make them do it, isn't that kind of a waste of staff time? I mean, if those businesses already aren't driving up to their business and seeing how bad it looks, do you think they really care? Unless the city comes to them and we have a way that we could impose a penalty or something, which we can't do. But I mean, I think if they don't even care now themselves, I don't see what we can do about it.
And I do understand where the mayor and where you're coming from, but, you know, I mean, I'm just giving you my thought and what I'd like to see done. And, you know, if it's only me against four, then it's me against four, you know? And if 2 or 3 of you decide to go the other way, then it's a waste of staff time, and then we don't do it.
No, I think what you're requesting is very valid. I just, I don't think we have any money to give them, and if we can't force them to do it, then maybe it can be something that's in our policy document, but it isn't. I guess I just want to know what the end game or goal would be with it. And I agree with you. I wish everybody would take care of their landscaping as well and I drove down Eastgate Boulevard the other day, and it doesn't look like the nice paseo that I think we thought it was going to look like. And I think it could, but the problem is because of the drought and everything kind of looks dead, and, you know, and branches and everything are over there. It's not the impression that you would like to see for it. So I can relate to what you're requesting. I just want to make sure that I give them a manageable direction as to what you'd like to see, and that we ultimately come back with something that's meaningful for you. So, you know.
But I think it's like anything else. You know, when we started on that downtown specific plan, I mean, it was an idea just like what I have right here, and then as it went on, things developed from it. You know, and I think that you know, this is an idea that I would like to see done, and from there, you know, other things come into play. You know, and if it's the wish of the rest, you know, 3 of you on the council to wait until we do this downtown specific plan, then it is. I just voicing, you know, what I would like to see, you know, direction go with some of the current, you know, problems we have within the city to bring it up to what we're trying to do downtown.
Might I make a recommendation? I think I agree with Mr. Wells that is something that we could and should address in the general plan, but maybe it be something along the lines of the water efficient landscaping. And if you go through Las Vegas or something and you see the residential homes there, they do a lot with rock and different things that are low water usage. Perhaps there's a section within the general plan that talks about that. And if someone were to, you know, utilize that landscaping, maybe you could see if there are any type of relief in funding related to development fees or something along those lines or something where we could kind of incentivize people to do it. But I think that's a better venue for handling it than this, but.
That's fine. I mean, you know, I think, you know, I think we spend a little bit too much time right now on discussing it. I do understand, you know, what you say and you know, to utilize things. So, you know, we'll take care of one thing at a time.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else that would like anything? Okay. Reports, I have nothing. Councilmember Ryno?
I think we had a pretty good turnout at National Night Out Tuesday. We didn't give out as many hot dogs as we did last year, but we still had a lot of people out there. I'd like to thank all the city volunteers that helped. There were, and I'm not even going to try to name them because there were just so many of them, but we did an awesome job with the limited number of people that we had. And I also won't be at the next meeting. I'm having a medical procedure, and I know I've told the mayor, but I just wanted to be on the record.
Okay. Vice Mayor Kline?
Well, I too did go to National Night Out, and I stayed there a little bit towards the end, and a call came in to assist the fire department. You know, they had a fire going in over off 10th Street, and I had the opportunity to take them a bunch of bottled water, and I will say that, not to take anybody else's thunder, but I think the fire department did an excellent job with controlling it. I know that B.C. Gomes is here right now, and he was incident command, and I think that did an excellent job. Ceres did an excellent job with resource sharing and boundary dropping, and, contain the thing. I did get home and watch it on the 11 o'clock news, and, they did have some pretty healthy flames coming out of the roof ventilation and stuff like that. And I think the city fire department, the county, city of Modesto, and Turlock, with what they've done to assist, and the incident command, Mr. Gomes, you guys did an excellent job to contain it. So my hat's off to you.
Councilmember Lane?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Nothing.
Councilmember Durossette? All right. We'll go on Ms. Dean. Tom?
I got the night out, got the night off, so I was glad to attend. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Wells?
Just a couple quick updates. Measure H meeting this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Will be the first meeting for a couple of our new appointed Measure H committee members. Also on your calendars, the StanCog overview of the expenditure plan is on for this Thursday. That's the 11th at 3:30 at the Doubletree. That's kind of the introduction of that expenditure plan and the education outreach process that will begin. And the last thing that's kind of in the news or starting to hit is the supplemental environmental document, SED, that is coming out from the State Water Resources Control Board regarding the unimpaired flows on the rivers here in this area. It was released a few years ago and is supposed to be released now in September, so kind of coming soon. And this is something that has a significant impact on our local economy and water. If the state moves forward with this plan, the numbers are bouncing around 35% unimpaired flows, which is more water they're taking from our area, which is a significant impact. Assemblyman Gray, as well as a number of other local legislators in the county, has taken the lead on this as well, doing a financial impact study. This will become pretty big news here in the near future with the release of that document and a 60-day comment period. So we'll be coming back with you some information, support letters, and in opposition of what would likely be this environmental document that will have some significant impacts on our local economy. So just a heads up at this point, and we'll be providing more information as that document gets released.
Thank you. Mr. Westbrook?
Yeah, just wanted to mention that the building department did receive the final set of health department comments regarding the Save Mart, their new interior TI. So at this point, all of their building permits are ready to issue. They will start construction when they see fit.
Okay. Mr. Jordan? Mr. Smith? Mr. Nichols? Mr. Collins? Mr. Hallam? All right, we got a taker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to give a quick update. Most of the time we spend on redevelopment, downtown revitalization, business retention, and that attraction nugget is the one that's hard to really go after aggressively when we have limited sites. But within the last month, we've been working with, good news, a couple of items. The Alliance is finally getting ready to unveil their new websites, and they're giving each community an opportunity for a dedicated page in their master site, which is Opportunity Stanislaus, and we've been working with the Alliance on customizing the information on the series page. And then another aspect that we discovered last month, actually we were solicited by a company that has a paid new listing site, and we couldn't afford to list properties, but they have a free version to list 3 sites, and it's called OppSites, OppSites. I'd recommend you check it out on Google it, just OppSites, and we have 3 sites listed, and it's surprising how many questions and inquiries and referrals or views we're getting on that. And presently we have an industrial parcel that's for sale. We have the Mitchell, what is that? Mitchell Ranch. No, we don't have the Whitmore Plaza leasing opportunities and pad sites listed. And then we just last week added the parcels at Whitmore, Central, and Herndon that were part of the state. It has an open bid on that, and that has really generated a lot of interest. And so it's fun to explore new options to get that word out there on the sites we do have available. Thanks.
Thank you. Supervisor DeMartini? Okay. All right, with that, we will move to closed session. We have conference with labor negotiator, conference with legal counsel, and the successor agency, conference with real property negotiator. Thank you.